I'm telling you the story of Omar Khadr to show you that governments must be held accountable for upholding the law and its principles. Khadr was born in Toronto, Canada in 1986, and his father, Ahmed Khadr, had ties to Mujahideen and was affiliated with Al-Qaeda. As a child, Khadr moved back and forth between Canada and Pakistan, and in 1996, his family moved to Afghanistan. In 2002, they moved to the province in Afghanistan of Waziristan for fears of American bombing, because he was originally in Jalalabad and they were afraid of the American invasion. Khadr trained with Al-Qaeda operatives in June of 2002, receiving basic weapons training. From then on, he acted as a Pashto translator, helping coordinate mine placements. July 27th of 2002, American forces and Afghan forces sent a team of 7 men to the village of Ayub Kale to investigate a satellite phone call. Sergeant Christopher Spear and Sergeant Lane Morris are on this team of 7 men. The team notices 5 men with AK-47s in a walled-off compound, and they send 2 Afghan army soldiers to negotiate the occupants' surrender. The occupants opened fire, killing both Afghan soldiers. The compound is then strafed with Apache attack helicopters, and multiple 500-pound bombs are dropped on the compound. Khadr and another occupant survive, but are injured. As such, they send a team with Spear and Morris into the compound, assuming everyone is dead. A grenade is thrown, blinding Morris in the right eye and mortally wounding Spear. The other man, the occupant that is found writhing on the ground injured and is promptly executed with a headshot. Omar Khadr is found crouched away and receives 2 shots to the back. He remains alive and is given on-site medical attention. He's then detained and sent to the detention facility at Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan. There, he's denied certain types of eye surgery that would save his right eye, and pain medication for his shoulder, his injury that is, due to lack of cooperation. He had his hands tied above a door frame for hours on end, threatened with military dogs, and was forced to carry 5-gallon water jugs to aggravate his shoulder wound. He was refused the use of a toilet, and as such was forced to urinate on himself. In October 27th of 2002, Khadr is transferred to the Guantanamo Bay prison facility in Cuba. He's classified as an adult prisoner at the age of 16 and is considered an intelligence treasure trove for having personally met high-profile Al-Qaeda members such as Osama bin Laden himself. He tried to cooperate with Canadian interrogators, CSIS agents, in hopes of being repatriated back to Canada, but CSIS agents were only there to extract information. In 2003, American guards allegedly dragged Khadr in a cell back and forth in a mixture of pine oil and his urine for 2 days. He was upgraded to level 4 security and spent 1 month in solitary confinement. Before Canadian interrogators met with him, the Americans would allegedly, for 21 days, use sleep deprivation techniques to soften him up. In August of 2004, Canadian attorneys asked for Khadr's medical records, but were rebuffed. In November of 2004, Canadian attorneys met with Khadr, performing a psychological analysis. What they found was that Khadr displayed delusional behavior, hallucinogenic, which he was, and displayed suicidal behavior and intense paranoia. After this meeting, American guards interrogated Khadr for 4 days with the use of extreme physical force, demanding to know what he discussed with his attorneys. In April of 2005, Khadr is diagnosed with PTSD. He then participates in a 15-day hunger strike, in which he begins to throw up blood and has to be twice force-fed in a medical facility. Allegedly, when he was too weak to stand up, American military police kicked and abused Khadr. June of 2004, Khadr is charged as an adult with war crimes. Although the Americans received a confession from Khadr, this was deemed invalid due to the use of torture in interrogation. In his first tribunal, Khadr is tried with murder and attempted murder. This proves to be inconclusive, and on October 6th, they have a second tribunal. There, he's charged with murder in the violation of the law of war, attempted murder, conspiracy, providing material support for terrorism, and spying. This also proves to be inconclusive. Khadr enters a plea deal in October of 2010, agreeing to plead guilty to his charges in exchange for repatriation back to Canada, on the condition that he spend one more year in Guantanamo. The Canadian government rejects this offer, even though the Americans supported it. The Supreme Court of Canada ruled that Canadian officials interrogating Khadr violated his rights, and as such urged the Canadian government to reconsider the offer of repatriation. On September of 2012, Khadr returns to Canada to serve the remainder of his sentence. In May of 2015, Khadr is freed on bail on the condition that he live with and be supervised by his lawyer, Edney. The story of Omar Khadr is an illustration of American hypocrisy. A country that denounces human rights abuses and proclaims its leadership in advocating for such rights contradicts its own moral principles by using a device such as Guantanamo Bay on foreign soil to practice abuses such as detention without trial and torture. There's a very powerful lesson to be learned from the story of Omar Khadr. Even in democracies that claim and preach their own moral high ground, demanding that other countries adhere to their proclaimed principles, authorities may devise means to circumvent their own laws and become abusive in the same manner as the countries they criticize. This is more than hypocrisy, because it demonstrates how fragile freedom, democracy, and human rights truly are when those in power choose to abuse. So, as citizens of a free country, we must remain vigilant and never take our freedoms for granted. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much.